In a grand New York engagement party filled with polished smiles and crystal glasses, Elena Brooks stood frozen near the marble staircase, her hands clenched so tightly that her nails pressed into her palms. The ballroom glittered with wealth, designer gowns, tailored suits, and quiet judgments hiding behind polite laughter. Ryan Hale's voice cut through the music as he raised his glass, joking loudly about wasted years and dreams that never took off. Every word felt deliberate. Elena felt dozens of eyes turned toward her, measuring, mocking. She tried to smile, but the air felt too heavy, too sharp to breathe comfortably. Ryan continued, emboldened by the attention. He laughed about how she once believed talent and hard work were enough in a city like New York. He gestured at her dress, simple, elegant, but clearly not chosen for spectacle, and shook his head as if disappointed. The crowd chuckled, some awkwardly, others with cruel ease. Elena took a step back, hoping to disappear into the shadows near the exit. She told herself she wouldn't cry here, not in front of people who had already decided her worth, but humiliation clung to her like a spotlight, brighter than the chandeliers above. As Elena turned to leave, the music faltered. Conversations died mid-sentence. The sudden silence felt unnatural, as if the room itself had stiffened. Heavy footsteps echoed from the entrance, slow and unhurried, commanding attention without effort. Elena didn't need to look to know something had changed. When she finally turned, she saw him. Luca Moretti stood framed by the tall doors, dressed in a dark suit that matched his calm, unreadable expression. His presence carried weight, power refined by discipline, authority sharpened by reputation. No announcement was needed. Everyone knew his name, and everyone knew to step aside. Luca walked forward, passing shocked guests who instinctively moved out of his path. Ryan's confident smile faltered, glass lowering slightly in his hand. Elena felt a strange stillness settle inside her as Luca stopped in front of her. He didn't glance at the decorations or the crowd. His attention rested solely on her, steady and unwavering. Without a word, he offered his hand. Elena hesitated for half a second, then placed her trembling fingers in his. The warmth of his grip felt grounding, real, as if reminding her she was still standing. Luca finally spoke, his voice low but clear enough to reach every corner of the room. He looked directly at Ryan, not with anger, but with quiet finality. "You had your chance," he said. No insults, no raised tone, just certainty. The words landed harder than any shout could. Ryan opened his mouth, then closed it again, suddenly aware of how small he looked. The moment stretched, unreal, suspended between disbelief and anticipation. Luca turned back to Elena, reached into his pocket, and produced a velvet box. He opened the box and revealed a diamond ring that caught the light, scattering it across the stunned faces around them. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Before Elena could fully process what was happening, Luca gently slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Cameras appeared as if summoned from nowhere, flashes bursting like lightning. Whispers exploded, shock replacing laughter, awe replacing cruelty. Elena felt her chest tighten, not with shame this time, but with a rush of emotion she couldn't name. In one heartbeat, the narrative had shifted. As Luca stood beside her, his hand still lightly holding hers, Elena realized something profound. The room that had judged her moments ago now looked at her with stunned respect. But more important than their reaction was the change within her. The weight she had carried, the doubt, the quiet fear that Ryan's words might be true, began to lift. She wasn't rescued, she understood. She was recognized. And in that moment, under crystal lights and countless eyes, Elena Brooks felt her dignity return, stronger than before, unshaken and unmistakably her own. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the tall windows of Elena's small Manhattan apartment, but peace did not follow it. Her phone buzzed nonstop on the nightstand, flashing notifications she was afraid to open. When she finally looked, headlines filled the screen, repeating the same question in different words. Who is the woman beside Luca Moretti? Photos from the night before were everywhere. Her stunned expression, the ring on her finger, Luca's calm presence at her side. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, heart racing, wondering if it had all been a dream created by exhaustion and pain. Before doubt could consume her, a soft knock came at the door. Luca stood outside, composed as ever, carrying coffee instead of chaos. He didn't overwhelm her with explanations or promises. He spoke slowly, clearly, explaining that what he had done was intentional. The engagement was real, he said, but not a cage or a transaction. It was a choice, hers as much as his. There would be no pressure, no expectations forced on her. Elena listened carefully, surprised by the calm respect in his tone. For the first time in a long while, she felt truly heard. As days passed, Elena began to see past the headlines and rumors. Behind Luca's feared reputation was a man governed by structure, loyalty, and boundaries he never crossed. He didn't pretend to be a hero or savior. Instead, he believed in standing beside people who had been treated unfairly, not dragging them forward. Unfairly, not dragging them forward. Nothing about him demanded submission. Everything about him demanded honesty. That contrast unsettled her at first, then slowly rebuilt the trust she thought she had lost forever. The media attention eventually turned toward Ryan, who attempted to rewrite the story. In a public interview, he offered an apology, claiming regret and misunderstanding. Elena watched it quietly without anger. When asked for her response, she chose dignity over drama. She declined his apology calmly, stating she had moved on and wished him no harm. Her voice didn't shake. The city noticed. People who once laughed now listened. It wasn't Luca's name that gave her strength, it was the realization that she no longer needed validation from those who once belittled her. Weeks later, Elena stepped into a charity gala held in downtown New York, the same city that had judged her so quickly. This time, she walked with confidence, not hiding behind anyone. When she spoke on stage about resilience, fairness, and self-worth, the room fell silent, not from shock, but respect. Her words carried weight because they were lived, not rehearsed. Luca stood at a distance, watching quietly, never interrupting her moment. His pride wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. That night marked a quiet turning point. What began as public humiliation had transformed into personal growth. Elena understood that power didn't come from revenge or status, but from self-respect. The city that once defined her by her past now saw her future. And as she looked ahead, Elena Brooks knew one thing clearly. No matter who stood beside her, her life would always be written on her own terms,